Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C. This is Charlton and Big C Sports coming worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C and them good old boys down south. I want to say bienvenidos to all of our listeners in Latin America, also across the pond, in London, England, as well as Paris, France, and of course you good old boys from Africa. You know we love the Big C tribe. We love them in Canada, but Big C, there's no one we love more than the good old boys down south, in the land of the free, and the home of the brave. Big C, how's it going for you good old boys down south on a beautiful July 18th, 2018, Big C?
Well, Charlton, getting out of Vegas yesterday, I felt like a piece of fried chicken. It was hot. I was bubbling everywhere. You know, I don't know if it was water or grease dripping off my body. I know it looked like I might have lost some weight. But, you know, I know I lost a little money out there, but, you know, it happens. You know, people trick you into making bets, and all of a sudden they say, oh, it was the other way.
Yeah, that's funny. That's actually funny. You felt like the fried chicken. Now you know how the dinner feels, right? I do want to say a lot of great things happening in the sports universe all across the pond, all over the United States. Everybody's getting ready for football. Had the Major League Baseball swinging the bat last night in the Major League All-Star game. I thought it went off very well, Big C. 10 home runs, and I said, if Barry Bonds and Mark McGwire still playing 10 home runs in one game, can't blame them this time, Big C. A lot of good things happening. In the world of the NBA, can you believe it? We'll talk about that and more as we open up Big C Sports. I do want to say today's segment sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. And when you go by and test drive yours, tell them Charlton and Big C sent you. So Big C, I don't want to be insensitive to the animals. Out here in California, sometimes people treat the animals better than they treat people, Big C, and I'm not even joking about that. You can have animals trying to cross the street, and people will stop their cars to let the animals or the ducks cross the street. I know down south you guys say thank you, Jesus, and you find dinner. That can you sense, Big C?
Well, you know, at times when animals are crossing the side in the car, it's not that your brakes always work. You know, sometimes you have a depth perception problem. You know, you forget to put your glasses on, things like that, and you by the time you lean forward to see what's in front of your car,
it's done.
Your wheel is hit up on top. You know, so you know, I empathize with the animals of California, but I appreciate the southern animals.
You appreciate the hospitality.
Our animals out here are as intelligent as the animals you guys have out there. You say you got animal crossing signs and deer and duck and bears.
Bear crossing.
We hope that they cross the road here because we know what's going to happen. We got dinner and a rug.
You got dinner and a rug. So you got to know when you're being hunted and preyed upon. I tell you, a lot of good things happening in the world of sports. I still think about the thing with laughter over the weekend. I saw a lot of movies over the weekend, and I know sports and politics and acting, it all ties together. But what I saw in some of the movies over the weekend is that this guy named Dwayne Johnson, he also played football at the University of Miami, called the U back in the day, Big C. Just having the chance to watch him, I'm starting to realize why he commands about over $50 million a year in movies. I think he has a movie coming out, Skyscraper, or something to do with that. And we just had the Special Olympic Games up in Seattle. Well, this is going to feature someone, I won't say maybe an amputee, but they have this prosthetic, and it doesn't stop people from performing. Big C, your thoughts on The Rock? What does he hit on, from racing cars to jumping out of skyscrapers and even wrestling gorillas that grow about 30 feet tall? Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, he's become the new action hero in America. You think that athletics and action are synonymous with each other.
Yeah.
But when you look at the roles that he's involved in all of these action movies, Charlton, you know, and to be able to carry it out, I mean, you know, you think about when he first came into it, he had limited roles because everybody recognized from the WWF or WWE, whatever that is, wrestling association.
WWE,
But now he's crossed over into mainstream big cinema, Charlton. And he's not the first athlete to do it, but Charlton, he's been one of the more successful athletes to carry that mantra onto the big screen.
Yeah.
And he has that draw appeal. I know you talked about a movie, Charlton, where he is playing the role of an amputee in the movie. And, you know, like you said, we just came out of the Special Olympics.
Yep.
We've had a lot of war veterans who've had to go through that, Charlton. And I think it's a good representation showing that through adversity is that you will still endure, that you have the will, that your body's mainly limited to what your mind will allow it to do. And so I think this is done in a respectful and tasteful way to those people who have suffered through these amputations, Justin. But we've seen many roles. Matter of fact, back in the last NFL draft when we had the kid from Central Florida drafted by the Seattle Seahawks who had his hand amputated and his twin brother plays with Seattle. But, Charlton, there's no limitations. When you give people an opportunity in life, don't look at physical disability all the time, Charlton. Look at what they can bring to your company, your organization, to your society. You know, we can't sit there and judge people because they don't always look like us, a la our government, Charlton. But judge a people, as Dr. King would say, for the content of their character. That's what you look at. And if they can bring something special to you, Charlton, let them be a part of that.
And you know, I love the fact that we pay so much attention to our Hollywood brethren. We have the Espy'S going on tonight in Southern California. But I think when you look at what The Rock does, and Big C, we've been talking about this a long time. What do you do after you finish playing the game? What do you do when you can't score touchdowns and make baskets and home runs and hit home runs like we saw last night in the All-Star game? But there's another actor that maybe people have forgotten about that also was an athlete. Maybe not as physical as The Rock Johnson, Dwayne The Rock Johnson, whose daughter's also part of the Wrestling Federation. But I think back not only watching this guy jump out of skyscrapers, there was that movie also, I think it was Fast and Furious, where he played in that. They had a lot of actors in there, and Tyree was in there as well as some other actors that we know of. But Burt Reynolds was probably one of the first action guys, because he did play college football down at Florida State for the Seminoles. I think his best role for me was not in the football movie that he did. I think Jamie Foxx was in one of them. I still like the Smokey and the Bandit, but how would you relate from football to the movies with The Rock and also Burt Reynolds? Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, it even goes back further than that. I mean, if you think about it, Jim Thorpe, who was in movies, you know, the original athlete in America, Heisman Trophy, wasn't a Heisman Trophy winner, but an Olympic gold medalist, played professional baseball, was in the movies, played Tarzan. Johnny Weissmuller, an Olympic swimmer, played Tarzan also, Charlton. We can go back to Woody Strode, who was the first African-American to play in movie roles, played in a lot of John Wayne movies, Charlton, spaghetti westerns. Played at UCLA along with Jackie Robinson. He was a defensive end at UCLA. Matter of fact, he got Jim Brown into acting, told Jim that he could make more money acting than what he could playing football.
Oh, really?
So Jim left the football arena because of Woody Strode's, you know, influence on him. We also think about Fred Hammer Williamson.
The Hammer.
Bernie Casey Charleston was another great football player who went to that side of the screen. We've had a rich history of minority athletes, Charlton, leaving the game, and people would question, why did they leave so early? They didn't leave early, Charlton. They left at the point when they felt that they had nothing left to accomplish in that life, Charlton, and wanted to go on to something that they could do longer than what they played football. So when we see what athletes have done, Dwayne Johnson didn't make it in professional ball. Charlton saw an opportunity to go into another career, which was acting. I mean, well, wrestling, same thing, acting, you know, which was very physical. And, you know, succeeded in that, Charlton, and took that charismatic demeanor that he had and transplanted it onto the big screen. So when we think about limitations, we've seen Michael Jordan in Space Jam. We've seen Shaquille O'Neal in Shazam. We've seen Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in Airplane.
I remember.
So we've seen a plethora of athletes, Charlton, crossing that line to the afterlife of athletics. And that's having a career that you can move on. Even Kareem fought Bruce Lee in Enter the Dragon.
I remember that.
So, you know, these athletes, Charlton, have been iconic figures on and off the playing field. It's just now we're getting more of a chance because Hollywood is seeing that they resonate into dollars. That athletes doesn't have to have shoulder pads, doesn't have to have a basketball in his hand.
Yep.
But he can go out there. Even Keith Hernandez used to be a regular on the Steinfeld show.
That's right.
He and George Steinbrenner, the owner of the Yankees. So when you look at it, not just athletes, Charlton, but the owners also wanted that piece of glory, Charlton, of being on the big screen. So when we look how athletes catapult society, not just through sports,
Yes.
but from their ability, Charlton, to go out and read a script and play a role and make it believable.
Yep.
This is what athletes do, Charlton, because they train all the time to be perfectionists.
That's a
and
good
when they
point.
get that role, Charlton, outside the game that they have played, they show that they can be perfectionists in that also.
And I think back to John Wayne, the late John Wayne, played football at the University of Southern California Trojans.
He was a tackle at the University
Yep.
of California and became the iconic American Western hero.
Yep, that's the Duke. So everybody knows there's always a correlation. I think the thing about Dwayne Johnson and Big C, I remember back in the days when you played, you guys had the same kind of physique. But if he starts eating those fried chickens or deep fried chicken,
what do you say, had? You know what, his body's been changed or something?
I remember you guys had that same kind of physique, but you got him by a couple of years. I think it's that deep fried chicken. I want to ask you the question, getting on the airplane in Vegas, did you have the deep fried with you on the plane, or did it something you put in the back before you got on the plane because of your nuts?
Well, we're talking, when I got on the plane, I had some fried donuts, okay? I was thinking something fried with, let me tell you something. They got these maple bars.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I don't know if you know what a maple bar is.
Oh, yeah.
They got bacon on it. It's coated with bacon. So it's a bacon-covered maple bar.
Yes.
You talking about breakfast, Charlton? All I needed was a glass of milk.
Yeah.
I was in heaven.
Yeah.
I got some coffee on the plane, but I needed a glass of milk to go with this. It was like having pancakes and bacon, Charlton. You talk about delectable.
Yes.
I had this lady looking at me, sitting next to me, and I said, don't even think about it.
You're not getting my butt like Johnny. I think that's incredible. And so when I look at what athletes have done, and we come upon the Espy's tonight, think about far sports has come. We keep saying that sports is a billion-dollar industry. If you're not running a sports program, you're missing out. It's like going into a fried chicken place and not getting the deep fried chicken. We know it's not healthy, but it sure tastes good, especially when you start wrapping bacon and deep frying the bacon with it wrapped around chicken. I've heard some people take the chicken and they deep fry it, and they also put their bacon around it, and they dip it in some type of sauce or some type of honey barbecue sauce. I don't know what you dip in yours, Big C, but it sure is making me hungry. But I think The Rock, and whether it's Big C or Burt Reynolds, John Wayne, there's a lot of athletes who were good on the field. They transitioned into the world of sports, and then from there into the world of acting. So we wish The Rock nothing but the best. Really, really love wishing that I look like The Rock, Big C. In my mind I do, but that mirror that I have, sometimes that mirror lies. It's like Trump is a fake mirror. It has no way I look like that mirror sometime. I want to think, and I think most guys think they look like The Rock at some time, Big C. But I want to get on some thoughts about tonight's Espy's. I tell you, they've done something great with sports. At what time would you have ever thought you would have athletes walking the red carpet? We've seen it for the last maybe decade, but it's come a long way because they also understand that sports and Hollywood, it's the same brethren, just different screen. Big C, your thoughts?
Charlton, we've had 20 years of Espy's. One of the things that you get with the Espy's, Charlton, is that you get athletic recognition on the main stage. When we've seen the Hollywood Awards forever, Charlton, we've seen the Golden Globes, we've seen the Oscars, we've seen the Emmys. But when these athletes come up, who are really iconic American heroes, world heroes,
Yep.
when you look at it, and for them to be recognized as the elite of their fraternity, what an honor. I mean, we always recognize championship teams around in sports. We see that all the time. We just witnessed the Washington Capitals, Charlton, winning a championship, and the Golden State Warriors winning a championship. But to have individuals recognized by their peers, Charlton, as well as some sports writers, that is an ultimate honor when it comes to an athlete. And the wonderful thing about the Espy's, we have the notable athletes that everybody recognizes because you see them play in prime time.
Yes.
But when you recognize all these female athletes, Charlton, that people don't get a chance to see, from the lady softball players to the volleyball players, Charlton, to the track and field, to the swimmers, the field hockey players, Charlton, the soccer players, all of the athletes that go under the radar, and no one knows who they are, but Espy's and ESPN brings them to the forefront to let the world see them, Charlton, and to hear them articulate their appreciation when they're up on the stage. This is the one thing that we don't get enough of from athletes. The past couple of weeks, we've had a lot of blogs out there where he's getting in trouble, Charlton, through violence and DUIs and other things.
Right.
But the Espy's is a true celebration of sportsmanship, Charlton, where these athletes come up and they resonate their appreciation to their peers, through the crowd, Charlton, and over the broadcast to America and the world. This is something we don't get a chance as a society to see enough of athletes. I appreciate ESPN for creating this, and it's been 2 decades, and also what they do for the Jimmy V Foundation, Charlton, to fight cancer in America. I mean, I wish our government would do as much and have enough public broadcasting as ESPN does. I think with all of what ESPN does in the world of sports, Charlton, what they do for cancer research is above and beyond what anybody ever expects, and that our country doesn't do enough as ESPN. I appreciate them praising the athletes, Charlton, but I appreciate them more of bringing a constant conscious awareness to cancer and that very tragic disease that many people around the world and in America must face, Charlton.
Well, that's very well said, Big C. When you think about Jimmy V has TV commercials, and it's not about sports. It's about continuing to fight, continuing to win, continuing to discover new breakthroughs in medicine, and now people know him as much for that as they did for the fact that he won a national championship. So that's what I'm proud of, and I think another thing that our sports universe is getting into, in fact, the sports universe is getting into, they're getting into more family, faith, and then community. What do you do the game is over? We talk about that all the time. I think what the Espy's does, as well as anything, is they exemplify who the person is. They pull the mask off the person, and they tell you about the people who are behind the scenes. And I look, Danica Peck doing the hosting of it. There's a lot of great athletes. When we think about who are the top male athletes this year, Jose Altuve, he's not a big guy. He's not like The Rock Johnson, okay? But he plays like him. His stature may not be the same as Dwayne The Rock Johnson, as we open the show with, but he plays like him from his spirit. If you look at what he did to take on Major League Baseball's best pitching, you couldn't pitch around this guy, Big C. You tried to, but the Astros lineup was so great. He's considered one of the top male athletes tonight for the Espy's. Just give me your thought. I know you watch all sports, even though you play football. What's your thoughts on seeing him? And you talk about that will to win, that lion inside of every person, that sometimes you're on the bottom, but you got to keep fighting until you get something to eat. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, when you look at an athlete of Altuve's stature, who's only 5'6", but he was the MVP last year in the American League, Charlton. That's the will to win, as an athlete, to be competitive. And, you look at sports teams, and you always wonder why there's always the same guys excelling. There's no guesswork in that, Charlton, to excel in athletics. You have teammates, but you have guys who make your team. That's the difference. Everybody comes to work with an opportunity to start and play. But there's some guys who just desire it more than others, Charlton, and they have that edge mentally to push them to that point. And Altuve is one of those. When you look at him, I saw a picture of him and Aaron Judge last year in the playoffs. And it looked like a little boy asking for an autograph.
Maybe he was.
That's what it looked like. But here's Altuve that Judge was having a conversation with, singing the praise to him. We knew that Judge was hitting home runs, but Altuve was the complete player. And that's what you strive for as an athlete, is to be the complete player, Charlton, because that's what it comes down to. You put in that work ethic, and that's what you get when you recognize as one of the top athletes in America.
Yes.
The last two guys on anybody, football, basketball, baseball, hockey, no one knows who they are.
No, they don't.
They practice against the best. They're on the team, but they may not do as much as the best, Charlton, to get that playing time. And that's what you have to look at. When you see players getting consistent playing time year after year, it's not by chance.
No.
It's about hard work and perseverance, Charlton.
That's very well true. And so when you look at Altuve, and we open up talking about some of the great sports stars, some of our sports heroes, who are now some of the biggest actors in Hollywood. I even think about Denzel. Denzel didn't play ball, not that I know of, at least not at the pro level, but his son had the chance to play in the, I think it was the United Football League or World Football League.
His son actually spent 2 years on the practice roster with the Rams. He was played at a historical black college, Charlton.
Yep.
And, you know, he got 2 years of practice roster on the Rams as a running back.
Yep, and the great actor Denzel Washington, who I still think his best role was in Malcolm X, but I still like his sports role that he played in He Got Game. Jesus Shuttlesworth, Ray Allen, produced by the great Spike Lee. Rick Fox was also in that movie, and they were all trying to recruit Ray Allen to big stage. And we know how Denzel even has his own movie out, and they have these athletes, they run it during the NBA games, NFL games, because they understand, Big C, they understand the connection. It's the same brotherhood. I want to bring your thoughts to another guy. We know he was voted the NBA's MVP and called the most valuable player in the universe, according to NBA, and that's none other than James Harden. Now, Harden's a dominant player. Grew up in Southern California, went, played college in the Pac-10, but it took him the time to get to this MVP status. He still has not won that elusive championship. But your thought on that Lion, people could say he doesn't play the best defense, but there are times when Harden is unstoppable. He just has to remember he has teammates, Big C. That's the only thing to come back. He has to get to understand he has teammates before the final 5 seconds of a possession. But your thoughts on maybe he will be the male athlete of the year, and as far as the Espy's goes, Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, when you look at Harden, he's not trying to expend energy on defense.
Really?
He understands it's a team game, and he has teammates that should have his back.
Yeah.
But when you look at his game, and you look at anybody in the NBA, Charlton, regardless of how good a defensive player you are, there's not a broadcaster sitting there resonating about some defense.
No.
They're always talking about their scoring ability. If they talk about defense, maybe it's about blocking a shot here and there.
Yeah.
I mean, we look at this fella. No one raved about Quinn Capella's defense.
No.
But they talked about Harden's offense, his offense. That's what brings people to the game.
Yeah.
If you want defense, Charlton, you have to go to an NBA Summer League game, okay?
Yeah.
That's where you get defense because nobody's scoring.
Yeah.
If you want to see a player put points on the board, Charlton, you go to an NBA regular season game.
Yeah.
James Harden is paid to score points.
Yes.
He's not paid to play defense, and he lets people know that, Charlton.
Yeah, he's a dominant player. He was like that in high school, too. Led Artesia High School, Southern California, to a California State Championship. Also, when I look at your friend, I think this guy probably eats a lot of deep fried chicken, too. Ovechkin, Big C. The NHL's in the house in Los Angeles at the Espy's. This guy, do you think he still has that cup sleeping in his bedroom? And have they actually put it on the trophy case with Washington's team? Because he had that cup as if it was a newborn child. You know how you don't put down a newborn child? That's how he treated Lord Stanley's cup. I wonder if he found the vibranium or not, but he may not be as well known as the other athletes because NHL is still a Canadian sport for the most part. But as a dominant player, just your thoughts on how he stacks up with someone like Altuve, with someone like Harden, and on the actor side, he doesn't have the physique of The Rock, but he sure has the heart of a lion. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, one of the things about Alex and eating fried chicken is that he has his teeth in. Okay? Unless you're going to mash it up for him. So he's not a fried chicken aficionado, okay? Not many hockey players are. They don't eat corn either. I'm going to let you know that.
Okay.
Hockey players do not eat corn.
In the blender.
And apples, they're off the menu also.
Yeah.
But they will eat applesauce and cream corn.
Yep.
They might gum some chicken nuggets, but they don't eat fried chicken.
Oh, that's funny.
Let's be real about that. Alexander Ovechkin, Charlton, is one of the elitist players in the NHL.
Yeah.
Here's a young man, Charlton. He's not young anymore because he had no teeth. Normally, as you get older, you lose your teeth.
Chicken soup for the soul. Chicken soup for the soul, Big Z.
He has 3 NHL MVP awards.
Yeah.
And so this lets you know how good Alexander Ovechkin is.
Yes.
Not only that, Charlton, he was the first player to win the Stanley Cup after scoring over 600 points and having his first chip in the Stanley Cup.
Wow.
So he was one of the all-time great scorers in the NHL and finally able to get his team over the hump. And that's been one of the things that has plagued him by sports analysts over the years.
Yes.
Is that he can't win the big one. And I always wonder how you do that in a team sport, is that you single out one individual saying that he can't win the big one.
Yep.
We've seen that even Kevin Durant, prior to going to the Golden State Warriors, they were saying he can't win the big one, even though he played with 2 other MVPs, Charlton, on that team.
Yeah.
And we've seen that all around, is that he can't win the big one. So when I think about he can't win the big one, I'm thinking about a tennis player, a golfer,
right,
something like that in individuals. But as a team player, Charlton, if you want to put that mantra, so do you put that mantra on LeBron? Because he's 3-6 in championship series. But no one says he can't win the big one. It's not about that, Charlton. Here's a guy who is just an elite player.
Yeah.
You don't win 3 MVPs, Charlton, and be a perennial all-star, not being an elite athlete.
Yeah.
And I'm proud of him and the Washington Capitals for winning their first Stanley Cup, Charlton, in their 40 years of existence.
Well, when you think about that and other players, Sylvia Falls, Minnesota Lynx, WNBA's good basketball player, solid individual. And then you look at Michaela Sheraton, Olympics gear. She's just, we think about the Olympics and what it means to the United States of America. A lot of women shine in that. Also, snowboarder Julie Ertz, Chicago Red Stars, U.S. Women's National Team. Wish them great success, Big C. I think sometimes we take for granted when we see something there too long. The fact that Ovechkin cannot ingest some deep fried chicken is one of them. He has to have grounded like a child has to eat that chicken noodle soup. He can suck it through. But he and Michael Strahan, does Michael Strahan eat fried chicken? He has that same kind of spacing going on, and they made it a marketable piece, Big C. I think I'm going to do my teeth the same way. Your thoughts, Big C?
Well, Michael Strahan, I think he got that from a lot of watermelon seed eating contests, where he was spitting the seeds out and stuff. So, he's one of those guys. I think he might have been an original member of the Gap Band. I'm not sure.
Outstanding.
Michael has had an outstanding
amazing
football career. We talk about The Rock.
Yeah.
Here's Michael Strahan, who was a defensive lineman, who has gone on to greatness on television in the big screen. Also, Howie Long, Charlton, has done that also. So when we look at these athletes and you bring up The Rock, there's so many that have paved the way for The Rock to get there. When you look at what Strahan has done, what Howie Long has done, Charlton,
it
was easy to go out there and look at another guy who had charisma.
Yeah.
And bring The Rock in, who didn't have anything else that was distracting him from becoming one of the lead actors in Hollywood.
Yes, I think that's very well said. And so I bring this last guy up because people talk about it's the same thing LeBron James faced. Do we really want to see LeBron James in the final again? The answer is, do we really want to see Tom Brady in another Super Bowl? Well, yes, if you're a Patriots fan. No, if you're everybody else. But no one can knock that consistency. Here's a guy that played at Michigan, out of Northern California, Sarah High School, San Mateo, and his sister also is a pretty good athlete. But as far as Brady being the male athlete of the year, I don't think you give it to someone who did not win a Super Bowl, but he's always going to be in the running, and that's part of it. But I want to just say that sports is a billion-dollar industry, and girls and boys sports is the foundation to this billion-dollar industry. For every athletic and sporting event, you need athletic and event insurance. We work with Ben and Mark. They've been around half a century. They work with Big C Sports. Whether you're a pro team, a collegiate team, a high school team, or your mom and pop soccer league, when you reach out to them, let them know Big C sent you. They're in all 50 states. Your thoughts on Tom Brady? I don't think that Tom Brady he's not what he was, of course, 5 years ago. We talked about The Rock, how he's jumping out of skyscrapers now, and he's playing with 30-foot tall gorillas. And flying helicopters, doing all the stuff with the biceps that look a lot like Big C's biceps back in the day. But all that fried chicken, sometimes it takes us on our waistline too, Big C. But is Tom Brady still someone that you had mentioned as maybe athlete of the year, even though they came up short in the Super Bowl, Big C? Thoughts?
Charlton, I'll take you back to that last point I made when they said he can't win the big one.
Yeah.
In a team sport. And when you look at what Tom Brady did last season, everyone said they would get to the Super Bowl. They lost their opening game of the season to the Kansas City Chiefs.
A blowout.
But they came back like a house on fire.
Yeah.
Even when he was in the Super Bowl, Charlton, because last I checked, he didn't play defense.
No.
Okay?
He did he tried to tackle in the Super Bowl against Atlanta. He threw a pick. He pretended he was playing defense. He did one of those Deion Sanders tackles back in the day. Remember that?
He showed you when he dove 3 yards away from the guy that he didn't play defense.
In the opposite direction.
But what he did in the Super Bowl last year, Charlton, has been unparalleled. When you look at, he set a record for yardage in the Super Bowl last year at 40 years of age.
Yeah.
He threw 3 touchdown passes, Charlton.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like Tom Brady didn't have a performance in this game. It's just that Nick Foles and the Eagles had a better offensive performance.
Yeah.
And when you look at it, it comes down to a couple of errant passes. One of them was an errant pass to Tom Brady, and another errant pass that he threw. But, when you look at what he does, and especially when it comes to team sports, look around Tom Brady. Tell me who the stars are. That's what you have to do. When you talk about somebody being the elite athlete, and he's not a great athlete. He's just a great player.
A player, yeah.
Let's make that clear. He's not a great athlete. He's just a great player. He's a great mind. He's a great tactician. But when you look around Tom Brady and we start talking about who's the best, who on the Golden State Warriors would you say is the best player? It's a juggling act.
Yeah.
Okay? They just won the NBA title.
Yep.
You look at the Washington Capitals. They had several All-Stars on their team, Charlton. So Ovechkin wasn't alone. When you look at the Houston Astros, Charlton, winning the World Series, it wasn't just Altuve.
No.
They had players rising to the event. You even had a pitcher in Verlander who could not lose.
Yep.
So when you say something about the New England Patriots, and you go out there and you look and say, okay, people say, well, Gronkowski. Well, yeah, he's there when he's not hurt.
Yeah.
But Tom Brady's there all the time. Who's the receivers other than Gronkowski? That's what you're looking at. He was without Elderman last year.
Yes.
Amendola's gone. Running back, it was by committee. Offensive linemen, no one knew who they were.
No.
So when you say is Tom Brady an elite ball player, he is, Charlton.
Yeah.
Because he does more with less than any quarterback in NFL history.
Yeah.
That's what you have to look at. He does more with less than any quarterback in NFL history. So you go out and you find all these other big times. Ben Roethlisberger, what does he have at wide receiver? What does Matt Ryan have at wide receiver?
Yeah.
When we start talking about these guys, what do they have? You got to look at what he doesn't have.
That's a good point. If you can imagine,
that's what makes Tom Brady so great.
If you can imagine if Julio Jones played with the New England Patriots, no, that's never going to happen because they're going to find his earring when they start talking about him leaving. As soon as he starts talking about going elsewhere for more money, they're going to say, Julio, we found your earring, but he doesn't have to pay that reward. When you think about Espy's and we talk about teams, college and pro, who would be the team? And that's the thing about the Espy's, unlike in a sport, you're not just choosing the best team in that sport. You're choosing the best team in all the sports, whether it's the Espy's teams for contention. Houston Astros, look at what they did in a Game 7, beating the LA Dodgers at Chavez Ravine. And then you look at Philadelphia, what they did with the Eagles, also beating the team that has all the history of winning. And Belichick coached Tom Brady, just talked about him. Out of those two, and we'll cover a couple more, would you give the edge to Big C? The young, uprising team from Houston. They also eat a lot of that yardbird you talked about with deep fried, Big C. Would they have the edge in your mind over what Philadelphia did? Because both of them had a miraculous rise, Big C. Your thoughts?
Charlton, they had outstanding rides. But one of the things you look at as you're up and coming, you don't always get to the top. I mean, you can always have an inspirational season that makes people think that you're almost on the crest of being good.
Yeah.
But we've seen a lot of teams, Charlton, get to those points and fall off.
Yeah.
I I have a tendency to like the team that wins the championships.
Yeah.
To me, that shows that you are what you're supposed to be. Because every season, regardless of the professional sport, Charlton, there's at least 30 teams that start the season.
Yeah.
With the same goal. And as you know, I heard somebody tell me today that the NBA has made it unfair with the Golden State Warriors.
How?
To have that many superstars on one team.
Right.
Well, everybody that's getting paid in the NBA is getting paid superstar money.
They sure
Last
are.
time I checked. Every time you look at a starting lineup, they got 5 superstar contracts out there.
Yep.
But it comes down to what we keep talking about. Do you want to be the best? Why is Kevin Durant head and shoulders above everybody else in the league that's 6'11"?
Yeah.
He chooses to be. Why is Steph Curry head and shoulders above everybody else in the league that's 6'2"? He chooses to be. Why is Draymond Green such an enforcer, Charlton? That's his desire.
Yeah.
Klay Thompson pulls up as a spot-up shooter, Charlton, because that's what he works at. And the team and Steve Kerr knows that's when he's at his mantra. He's getting the ball, spotting up.
Yep.
You know, that's what they do. Boogie Cousins, you bring in this X factor who you don't need to win. That's what makes Boogie Cousins so valuable coming to the Warriors this year, Charlton. You know, they really don't even have to play him until February.
Yeah.
You think about that. He doesn't have to get into the lineup until February.
Wow.
That's how much of a push that they have with the players that they have. They can allow him to get 100% healthy where he's not risking injury trying to come back too early because there's no pressure on him.
Yeah.
They will be dominant because they understand what it takes to defer to the guy with the hot hand, Charlton.
Yeah.
Nobody else in the NBA knows how to do that. You sit there and you question teams, why didn't he give up the shot? Why? Because they trust him. And you can always go back to the point in last year's championship where everybody wanted to blame J.R. Smith.
Yeah.
The media beat him down. Even teammates beat him down. But the bottom line is, if the kid had made the free throws, he wouldn't have got to that point.
That's a very good point.
That's the bottom line. If he had made the free throws that he was paid to make, you know, J.R. may have had a bad decision moment.
Yeah.
But if the free throws had been made, none of that would have mattered.
Would not have mattered.
Everything rolled off on J.R. though.
Yeah, and that's a good point too. And then also just a couple other teams that we'll look at if we'll get into some Major League Baseball. I look at Notre Dame to win a women's national championship. Talk about the odds to knock off UConn in order to get that done. And you know, UConn has been such a dominant team, but the last couple of seasons they've been had right at the finish line, a lot like the USC runner where they edged the Purdue runner up in the track and field championships, and they won it. You have to look at what's happening with Notre Dame's basketball team, Villanova's men's basketball team, even though they gave up right at the finish line. Auriemma, a lot like Tom Brady. How much more can you do than maybe lose one game a year and you're winning in the 30s and you're playing the best competition? But you know our country, Big C, they love to give the trophy to the guy that wins the game. Your thoughts on how the Notre Dame women and the Villanova men would compare? I know Villanova's had more success record-wise, but you look at Notre Dame and they get the championship. And you look at that, we just talked about Golden State, but does it really matter that you could be the best, but when you lose, they say, well, that's not good enough, a.k.a. LeBron James, your thought?
Well, Charlton, when you look at Villanova's, basketball team, Jay Wright has just been probably the best coach in college basketball the last 5 years.
Yeah.
When you look at the host of characters that he's put together. And one of the things that he has that other coaches haven't had, Charlton, is that he has the ability to keep kids in the program. Maybe Mark Few out in Gonzaga can do say the same thing.
Yes.
But you keep kids around for 4 years. So they have a chance to develop and evolve and have that chemistry that you're not always rebuilding. So you have senior leadership. You know, when you think about the point guard, Bergen, I think was the name, 2 national championships, Charlton.
Yep.
So when you're around in a university where you can win 2 national championships and they're not back-to-back, that's a marvelous feat in this day's era, Charlton, of college basketball. I look at Notre Dame, and it comes down to the theme song of the NCAA during the tournament, that one shining moment.
One shining moment.
They had a guard, Charlton, that could not hit a shot in the first half.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, she hits this miraculous shot as time is going off the clock and knocks down a three-pointer.
Yes.
In back-to-back games, Charlton, to win the semifinals and the finals.
Yeah.
That's that one shining moment, Charlton. And in sports, you never know when you're going to be called upon. You never know when you're going to have a chance to do something special or even make history.
Yeah.
And that's what Notre Dame's ladies basketball team, Charlton, did.
Yeah.
They hung in there. They fought. They knew they were up against the Lion in UConn's women's basketball team.
Yes.
But they felt what March Madness is, that one shining moment.
Yeah.
And that one shining moment delivered them two miraculous knockouts, Charlton, and led them to a national championship.
And Big C, I apologize. I missed the cue 4 times. One shining moment. Okay, is that what you were saying? I can't say he said it already, but I can't do it like Teddy. But one shining moment. I mean, you gotta give props to Teddy for singing that song and play the Tendergrass. But with all the people that are enjoying the Espy's, how Hollywood is mixing with the sports universe, we know that it's all real, and we wish everybody nothing but the best. But I still want to finish up some NBA talk. Kawhi Leonard, Coach Pop, they decided to part ways, Big C. Kawhi Leonard was considered the guy in San Antonio. That trade to Toronto for DeMar DeRozan. So one guy's going into Canada, the other guy's coming back to the United States. I want to get your thoughts. Even though it's 1 year, I don't really know if Toronto benefits from this, Big C. And I just want to get your thoughts on why he would go to Toronto when he could have come and played, with King James. It's all about money. They all rich. But do you see the benefit in your eyes why he would go to, Toronto just got rid of Casey, their coach, who was a coach of the year. They're not going to have the same team. LeBron James is no longer in the East. Did he not want to play second fiddle to LeBron? Or did he think he had a better chance in Toronto where I don't understand his thinking, Big C? Your thoughts?
Where you go?
One shining moment, Toronto, Big C. He had a shining moment for 1 year at least.
Okay, so what you're saying is they just kicked Kawhi Leonard out of the NBA. It's what you're saying. They exported him.
Out of the finals.
Now, let's be realistic about this trade. I mean, Kawhi Leonard and Jeff Green went to the Raptors in a trade for DeMar DeRozan and a future number 1 draft pick that would go also in this to San Antonio.
Yeah.
But you got to go back to what was said prior to this trade. What Popovich said a month ago. I will not trade Kawhi Leonard to the Western Conference.
Yeah.
Okay? I didn't say I wouldn't facilitate for him not to get there.
Yes.
But I will not trade him directly.
Yeah.
So I look at this as just a pass-through, Charlton. I don't think this deal is completely finished yet. There's a couple of teams in California that are willing to make moves. And everybody talks about the Lakers, which I think he'd be a perfect fit.
Oh, yeah.
To say that you're playing second fiddle to LeBron is saying that you're playing second seed to try to win a championship.
Yeah.
When Kawhi Leonard went to San Antonio, who was the man in town?
Yeah. That's
Tim Duncan.
Yep, Tim Duncan.
Okay? Played second fiddle. They had other seasoned veterans, Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili.
Ginobili, yeah.
It didn't bother Kawhi Leonard. A superstar, Charlton, will rise to whatever obstacles that are there to get to where his role is and what he wants to accomplish.
Yes.
If I'm the Los Angeles Lakers, and you're talking about winning is now, you gave LeBron James, what, a 4-year contract?
Yeah.
Do I sit around and wait on the ball kid to develop over the next 3 or 4 years? I got Rajon Rondo, who can get me into a championship run right now.
Right now.
Do I worry about Kuzma, who is a very exciting rookie? Do I worry about him getting better over the next 2 to 3 years? Or do I take Kawhi Leonard? Do I package those two players up? Or even Ingram, if it's not Kuzma, Ingram.
Yeah.
Do I worry about my future 4 years from now? Or do I try to win a championship in the next 2 to 3 years?
Yeah.
If all I can say with two of those players, Charlton, set a guard, because Toronto's going to need a guard with DeRozan gone now. I said a forward because they expected to have a forward when, Kawhi was traded. I'm the Lakers. I'm packaging up two players and sending them, Charlton.
Yeah.
Not only that, I don't have to worry about trying to do a max deal for either one of those players in another 3 years.
No.
That's what you look at. if I'm trying to win now with LeBron, I'm not worried about grooming some young players. The Lakers, as they said, you can always attract the elitists. People come to L.A. to win titles, not to win divisions.
That's true.
So I want to package up a couple players and get them off to Toronto and bring Kawhi in, because Pop wasn't going to trade him to the West Coast, and he stood by his guns. I respect him for that.
Yeah, you don't want
San Antonio has missed the playoffs once, Charlton, in the last 28 seasons.
Yeah.
So there's something to be said about that organization, and they also won 4 titles during that run, 5 titles during that run.
Yeah.
5 titles. So I think there might be some knowledgeable people in the organization about what they do, Charlton.
Yeah.
I'm just guessing, compared to some other teams.
So you thinking that Pop has played Teddy Pendergrass' song, One Shining Moment, about, 5 times? Is that what you're trying to say, Big C? He's played it at least 5 times?
He knows what he's doing, Charlton.
Yeah.
He's not going to get something for nothing.
Yeah.
You think about it, he got DeMar DeRozan, and he's still under 3 or 4 years left on his contract.
Yeah. No,
he wasn't going to get anything, but he got an all-star guard. He lost Tony Parker. So he brought in some pieces, Charlton.
Yeah, that's
and,
a very good
he's
point.
going to make some more moves, but he made a coup. He's always had a solid point guard in running his team, getting him in championships.
Yeah.
He brought that back into play, Charlton, with a point guard that can score.
Yeah.
But I still think if the Lakers are serious, you need to package up two of those 3 young players.
The young guys.
Send them off to Toronto and bring Kawhi in if you really want to challenge over the next 2 to 3 years the elite teams in the West, with Houston and Golden State getting even stronger.
Yeah, that's a very good point. So Pop knows what he's doing. Speaking of getting stronger, Big C, we had Major League Baseball's All-Star Game last night. What a beautiful setting. National Ballpark in Washington, D.C. And I just thought, that's what baseball should look like all the time. We knew it was an all-star game. I know they did a good job in pulling it off. And when you think about what happened last night, we had 10 home runs hit, and that was the most since 1971, Big C, and 6 more than the prior all-star games, the last 6 all-star games combined. Mike Trout got a home run off of Jake DeGrom. Loved the way he hits the ball. And then, a lot of guys went deep. Trevor Story, Charlie Morton, Judge went deep. This is something that I think is great for baseball. Now, you and I were just talking about a week ago. We were saying baseball, what's missing with baseball? A lot of stadiums are not full. And you and I just said, it's the home run. Everybody said we want everyone to be squeaky clean. That's like trying to find some chicken that don't have some type of grease in it. What's the point of eating healthy chicken if you're going to have the Yardbird? You got to have the Yardbird deep fried, Big C. They still trying to have that air freshener in that plane you took back from Vegas back down south, Big C. But that's part of what we talked about, and didn't it just come true? We said baseball needs home runs. Quit trying to act like nobody speeds when they buy a Ferrari. Just in California, you see a lot of Ferraris in Northern California. They don't get those cars to drive 55 miles per hour. Baseball is going to be what it is. You want to put people in the seats? Start letting them hit home runs and stop being so stringent on what you regulate, Big C. Your thoughts?
Charlton, you have to have dramatics in all professional sports. You see a hockey game, it's nice to see a great goalie playing, but it's also what gets the butts out of the seat is the puck going in the goal.
Yep.
When we watch the NBA, do you rather watch the Golden State and Houston play basketball, or do you want to see a team that's scoring in the 90s, Charlton?
Yeah.
That's what brings people into the arenas, Charlton, when you know that you're going to go out there and they're going to score 120 points, 115 points. That's what's exciting, Charlton.
Yeah.
And when you look at these scenarios, Charlton, about the All-Star game, to have 10 long balls last night, Charlton, that was phenomenal.
Oh, yeah.
That was on the heels of having a home run derby that the local kid, Harper, won.
Really? Where was he last night? I just want to interject. Did you say Harper homered last night against real competition for that $400 million, Big C, or just against that little league pitcher they were throwing out of Big C?
Well, there was even some skepticism about how he won that home run derby, Charlie.
Oh, really?
He had his dad pitching to him. And the thing about it in the home run derby, by the rules, Charlie,
yep,
you're supposed to wait on the ball to land in the seats or on the ground
yeah,
before you throw another pitch.
Yeah.
It was almost like a pitching machine, Jonathan. He
Yeah.
was just throwing them and throwing them. So
Yeah.
there was a rhythm.
Yep.
And he didn't have a chance to sit back. So
Yeah.
they're not going to challenge it. You know, they're going to let it go there. But it's what fans come to see, the long ball, Jonathan.
Yeah.
So the home fans were rewarded.
Yeah.
But they were even rewarded more, Charlton, with the 10 long balls in an actual game.
Yeah.
That fared well for baseball. Rod Manfred has to be very proud of what occurred last night in that All-Star game, Charlton.
Yeah.
That, you know, to go into extra innings and 10 innings, and it's won with 10 home runs in
Yep.
the 10th inning, Charlton.
Yeah.
And 2 home runs were hit in the 10th inning by the American League.
Big C.
But even after that
Yeah.
game, Charlton,
Yeah.
there's a huge move that was made in baseball today.
Yeah.
And there's been a lot of talk about it for weeks. Manny Machado, shortstop of the Baltimore Orioles, was acquired by the Los Angeles Dodgers today, Charlton, for prospects. Now, this is a team that lost their shortstop earlier in the year, and they also lost Turner, their third baseman. So they needed another big bat in the lineup, Charlton,
Yeah.
on that side of the infield. The Dodgers now have become a serious contender with Manny Machado. If he can continue with that same power that he's played with in the American League,
Yep.
coming over to the National League, Charlton, now the Dodgers can really get back on track and challenge the Diamondbacks.
Yeah, I think that is a great move for the Dodgers. All-Star game of the American League 8, National League 6. Astros, Alex Bergman wins the All-Star game, MVP, shortstop for a 21-year-old for the Astros. So a lot of good things happening down in Houston. Not only did they get the Major League Baseball All-Star game MVP, they got the NBA basketball season MVP in the regular season with Harden. So a lot of good things happening down in Houston. I just wonder that good old boy Deshaun Watson, how he's going to hold up this year health-wise, because the Texans, if they can build a team around him, they may be able to celebrate sports year-round down there in the great state of Texas, known as the city of Houston. Big C, Kirby Smart, you know, there's a lot of stuff in the world of college football. And you have Jeremy Pruitt, Jimbo Fisher, A&M. I just did a big preview on college football yesterday, just my thoughts on who some of the top teams were, the perennial top 25 teams. And now there's a couple of names I just threw out at you. Just give me your thought. I know you're chomping at the bit. If people want to see how much you love college football and pro football, they should watch you dive into some greasy, deep-fried chicken before you get on the airline and you're holding up the line at the air. What the counter say to you can't take that onto the plane unless it's in the bag? Did they give you some attitude, Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, I wasn't wearing a beard, and so they were worried about crumbs falling all over the place from that batter that was on the chicken.
Yeah.
But when you look at those names that you just read off, Charlton, they all have something in common.
Yeah.
They were all offensive defensive coordinators for Nick Saban.
Yeah.
And they're all coaches in the SEC. When you think about it. Texas A&M, University of Florida, University of Georgia.
Yeah.
All three of those gentlemen, Charlton, and when you think about the last one that you named, has 5 championship rings.
Yeah.
From being a defensive coordinator at Alabama. We know what Kirby Smart did last year at the University of Georgia. He challenged Alabama for the national championship. Jimbo Fisher has won a national championship at Florida State. You know, Nick Saban right now has 9 proteges that are head coaches in college football.
That's amazing.
9 men that have coached under him are head coaches in college football. Would be 10, but Jim McElwain, who lost his job at Florida last year, would have made the 10th.
Yeah.
So when you think about all these guys, Charlton, and they all was at the SEC press conference today, and Nick Saban, you would think that he would think of these guys as adversaries. No, Charlton, they're an extension of what he's been able to do as a head coach.
Yeah.
Probably the greatest head coach all time in college football when you just look at his record alone. You know, when you look at Nick Saban, it's almost like a comment that you made earlier when you said, are people tired of seeing Golden State in the playoffs? Are they tired of seeing LeBron James? You know, are they tired of seeing Tom Brady?
Yeah.
Is college football tired of Nick Saban?
Pac-12, yeah.
I think a bunch of media people are, because
Yeah.
the question that came up to Nick today, when are you retiring? You think about that. It's like, why should Nick have to retire for somebody else to win?
Right.
Jimbo Fisher, you know, he doesn't worry about that.
No.
You know, and when you think about Dabo Swinney, He's not thinking about that at all at Clemson. He said, bring them all on.
Yep.
but, you know, when you look at a coach and you have the media and other teams saying, well, you know, they just always loaded. They're always getting the best players.
Yeah.
There's a reason for that, Charlton.
Why? Because they
when you're
win?
a college coach and you keep getting the best players, even though they know you have a stacked house,
Yes.
they come there because they know that they can win.
Yep.
Players want to win. You look at Alabama's quarterback situation, this Charlton,
Yeah.
with Hurd and Tua Tagovailoa.
Yeah.
And people are asking, well, who's going to be the starter? And I love Nick's answer for this, Charlton. It's like whoever can take command of the team. The team
Yeah.
will decide who they want as a starter. Who's performing better with that lineup, Charlton, will become the starter. Because in college football, we saw it in Georgia last year where they had Fromm and Fry,
Yeah.
where one of the kids left after, you know, getting hurt. Another kid took over, took him to the national championship. I don't want to be here.
Yes.
And I wouldn't want him there either, Charlton, because that's a losing attitude.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to take my ball and go home. You know,
Yep.
It's like being on the playground as a kid. If you couldn't win, I'm going to take my ball and go home.
Yeah.
And so you see that so much quit now in young athletes other than being competitors. Think about if you have a backup quarterback on an NFL team, say, well, if I'm not going to start, I'm going to quit.
Yeah.
You know, think about that mentality.
That's how Tom
You
Brady
didn't
got
want
his
him there
job.
anyway.
That's how Brady got
So-
his job. He was waiting in the wings.
Yeah, he was waiting. He was patient. But when we look at those coaches, Charlton, we see the turnaround that they make. Jimbo Fisher left Nick Saban's coaching staff, won a national championship at Florida State. Kirby Smart left his coaching staff, almost won a national championship in Georgia.
Yeah.
So now University of Tennessee is looking for lightning in a bottle when they bring in another young man, Charlton, saying, hey,
Yeah.
can we get that same thing here? Because that program has got under fire, Charlton, for the past half decade that they haven't been able to get the job done. But college football is electrifying when you
yeah.
look at it. And I know you guys got some pretty fair teams on the West Coast. But on the South and Southeast, Charlton, there's nothing but dominance.
Well, yeah, I think there's something about the feel of college football. I know everybody has their favorite teams, USC, Alabama, Notre Dame, Texas, Penn State, Miami, all of them. I was talking about the game that's going to be played down south when LSU takes on Miami. Also, Washington travels down south to take on Auburn. Of course, USC, Notre Dame do it every year. Just a lot of good things happening. Ohio State playing TCU. I'm really excited to see what happens in the world of college football. But I want to finish off on, we talked about players that sometimes you don't expect them to ever be gone from the game because they're still good. Darrelle Revis, former Pro Bowl cornerback. Darrelle Revis announced retirement today. And all you can think about him is he's a guy that was a shutdown corner. Now he's a guy that's retired. And he still looked like he had some years left in him. Just your thoughts on how you gotta seize the moment now, just like the one shining moment, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, when you look at Darrelle Revis' career, his greatest moments came as a New York Jet. We had this place called Revis Island.
Yeah.
Where, they said receivers went to die.
Yeah.
They weren't going to catch anything. They couldn't catch a cold on Darrelle Revis, as they would say.
Yeah.
But he became a journeyman, Charlton. Tampa Bay, Kansas City, New England. He became a renter corner. But it lets you know how this game passes people by. We saw Pac-Man Jones in a fight in Atlanta last week.
He won, though.
So he still got some spunk.
He won that fight.
Well, that kept him under contract because he could win a fight, a street fight.
Yeah.
But Darrelle Revis, we haven't seen much from Darrelle in the past couple of years. But 11 years, Charlton, is a long time in the NFL.
Yeah.
We had talked about, the kid from Dallas and Murray.
Oh, yeah, Murray.
After 7 years hanging it up. People are like, wow, 7 years he's going to retire?
Yeah.
Revis got 11 years in.
Yeah.
Long time, Dalton.
Yeah.
Got a chance to play in the Super Bowl with the New England Patriots. So he accomplished his goal as an NFL player. And you have to feel, excited about life after the game.
Yeah.
And this is what I think that players have become so intelligent now, Charlton, that they prepare for that. Before, players didn't prepare for life after the game. They just kept playing and playing.
Yes.
Now they've put money away, Charlton, where they say, okay, I can step away on my terms.
Yeah, that's true.
And we saw that with Murray last week, and we saw that with Revis today.
Yeah, well, it's good to see good players going out when they're not injured. They can decide, you know what, I've had enough, my body's not what it used to be, and we all know it's fun. So whether it's the Espy's or whether it's the red carpet for the professional athletes down there in Southern California, really enjoy that. Also, I thought Major League Baseball actually hit a home run with the All-Star game. And then Bryce Harper, if he could get his dad to pitch all the time to him, maybe he could get that batting average above, 214, 218, something like that, Big C. I love football, the talk of football, it just feels good. You remind me, though, Big C, but taking that chicken onto that plane by about Sam Jackson, he said, I'm tired of all this blankety-blank chicken on this blankety-blank plane, so big time, next time you get on the plane, take it in the back, Big C. Back in the day, there was a man by the name of Drew Bundini Brown. He was known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man. He would always tell Ali, with all you got to use, how can you lose? Rumble, young men, rumble. Big C, what are you looking forward to in the sports universe?
Well, Charlton, I got a little guessing game that I want to play with you. I'm going to throw a couple of numbers out. I'm going to see if you can figure this out, okay?
Oh, sounds good.
Okay. One number's 58.
Yes.
The other number's 60.
Yes.
What comes between those?
Is it, hold on, let me Google it. Is it 59?
You got it, Charles.
I win $1 million. I won $1 million, Big C.
59 days, Charlton, away from the NFL brain show.
Yeah.
The Atlanta Falcons versus the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yes.
Football is back officially in America.
Is back officially in America. You make me feel like I can win on Jeopardy, Big C. Speaking of Jeopardy, every Monday through Friday at 5 and 6 p.m. worldwide. Follow Big C Sports on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C and them good old boys down south. I always want to tell you, there's never ever any excuse for domestic violence. If you know any man or woman going through that garbage, please call 911, because no man or woman should ever have to go through that garbage on their own. And as we always tell you on every Big C Sports show, we thank you, we appreciate you, and we hope that you have a super fantastic day.